All right, someone asked about solving these type of equations, and so there's not tons of steps, but yet there are fractions, so kind of how you can deal with these. So one way to do this is you can still clear the fraction. So the common denominator is whole 4 because it's the only denominator. So I could multiply both sides by 4. These guys would cancel. I get 3x equals what? 36. Divide by 3. X is 12. And again, if you sub that in, 3/4 of 12. So on a calculator, take 3/4 of 12. And if you did the math, you actually would get an answer of 9. So you know you're correct. Another way of solving this, if you want, is you have 3/4 x equals 9. Now you could divide both sides by 3/4. But when you divide fractions, you really multiply by the reciprocal anyway. So instead, you could just multiply by 4/3 to cancel. Because again, dividing both sides by 3/4, you'd end up multiplying by the reciprocal. Notice those both cancel. Stick a 1 under there. 3 goes in there once. 3 goes in there 3. 3 times 4 is 12. So either way, I can get the correct answer. All right, let's look at this next one. All right, so this next one, same thing. There's only one fraction, so if I want to clear my fraction, I can. And to do that, I'd multiply by the common denominator, which again, there's like an invisible 1 over here. So this is just 6. So I'm going to times 6 times 6. And again, if there were 3 or 4 things, they'd all get times 6. But again, there's only 2 parts here. The 6's cancel. Get a negative 5x equals, what would that be, like 6/4 is $1.50. So okay, that'd be negative 150 or negative 150. Now I can just divide, because again, I cleared the fractions, and I actually get a fairly nice answer. Again, to check my answer, I take a negative 5/6 times 30. And again, I could just do that on my calculator and hit enter and get that, or I could do it by hand. 6 goes in there 5 times. I could figure it out. But the answer to that problem is a negative 25, which is awesome. Okay. Now, again, if you don't want to clear the fraction, you can just do fractions. So you have negative 5/6x equals negative 25. Again, since the x is isolated from the constants over here, we can just divide both sides by a negative 5/6. But again, when you divide by fractions, you multiply by the reciprocal anyway. So instead of dividing, I'm just going to multiply by the reciprocal, which when I flip that, I get 6 over negative 5. And again, it doesn't really matter where the negative is. You just have to flip it and only have one of them. And 6 over a negative 5. These guys cancel completely, which is awesome. That's why I get x. Now, let's see. 5 goes in there 5 times. 5 times 6 is 30. And then again, check your signs. A negative divided by negative is a positive, so I'm good. And again, I definitely check your sign when you sub it in too. Like a negative times a positive is a negative, so life is good. All right, then the last one. Again, if you want to clear the fraction because you have one, you can. Even if there's only one fraction, that's fine. My common denominator is 5, so I'd multiply everything by 5. And again, if there's more stuff out there, it all get times 5 if it's added or subtracted. These guys will cancel, so I get 40y equals 16. Divide by 40, and y equals, and then I could just reduce this. 4 goes in there, let's see how many times. 4, and then it goes in there 10. I could also do, let's see, 8 would be faster. 8 goes in there twice, and 8 goes in there 5, so the answer is 2/5. And again, I would check it, I would sub it in, and make sure I got it right. So I'd take 8 times 2/5. And see if the answer is really 16/5, which again, if I put a 1 under there, I'm like, yep, that's right. Again, if I want to just do fractions, I could divide both sides by 8, but again, with fractions, when you divide, you multiply by the reciprocal, so I could just use this guy. Yeah, those cancel. Again, there's an invisible 1, so everything cancels. 16 goes in there, or 8 goes in there once, 8 goes into 16 twice, and I get 2/5, same answer. So in these type of problems, when there's kind of just one of the numbers as a fraction, you can either clear the denominator and then just solve it like you would with integers, or you can actually divide both sides and just use the reciprocal so that things cancel nicely. All right, hopefully that helps you.